Hello there and welcome back to the Hub of Debates. I am Chesh, your master debater, and I am here with Becca. Becca, thank you so much for joining us. You are a
Thank you.
very, very interesting person who's been in and around the community for quite a while. How are
That's
you?
what happens when you live for a
Right?
while.
When you live for a while? Who are you? How are you? What's going on? Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Becca Justiniano. I publish under the names Becca Patterson and Misty Carlisle. Um, I also am a tutor, private tutor. I have to be clear, I don't have a teaching license. I am not credentialed as a teacher. I am a private tutor. Um, and if you want my services, I'll tell you what that means. Um, I specialize in tutoring neurodivergent students, and I also have 3 cats. I am a crazy cat lady, and I write their diaries for Patreon.
That's fun.
Yes,
That sounds like
it
a
is
lot of
fun.
fun. It reminds
It
me
is
of
a lot.
those videos that are like, Diary of a Cat. Today, the large human. My captivity continues.
No, my cats are Macy, Kitty, and Wumpus.
That's one. Macy, Kitty, and Wumpus. Do,
Yes,
is there a
Kitty,
fan
Kitty and Wumpus.
favorite?
Uh, I think Wumpus has the biggest fan base, but not by much.
Mm.
Um, they have 3 very distinct personalities. They're on Blue Sky under her feline highness, and they have way more followers than I do. Like they're
They're
like
cats on the
13,000.
internet.
I've got like 400.
They're cats on the internet.
They're cats on the internet, and
Absolutely, they're lovely.
they have Macy is definitely the queen.
Mm.
She is very much the you will do it my way kind of
Yeah.
person,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
kind of cat. Wumpus is the keeper of the clock.
Mm-hmm.
She knows when things are supposed to happen, and you will do them then. And she will fight you if
Where's
you don't.
my food, woman?
Where's my? Why aren't you standing up right now? You should be standing up right now. Okay, you can sit down now.
Ah.
And then Kitty is our per therapist.
Ah. Yes. That's
Both
lovely.
Macy and Wumpus monitor my blood sugars.
Ah.
Macy while I'm sleeping, Wumpus while I'm awake.
That's great. That's fantastic. That's awesome. People really underestimate animals.
How they learn to do that, I don't know. What exactly they're responding to, I don't know. People
If it
always ask me
works,
like,
it
"Can
works.
you help me train my cats to do that?" I'm like, nope. I'll ask Macy if she'll help, but
That's crazy. But we should get into, so you said you're not credentialed, but you're a tutor specifically for
yeah,
neurodivergent children. You're
yeah.
also you do a lot.
I do. I am no longer certified as an American Sign Language interpreter because I don't see well enough to receive,
Oh, okay.
and so I can't maintain my certification without being able to receive ASL. Like I can only participate in half the conversation. It doesn't
Yeah,
work.
it is very like, yeah, believe it or not, sign language is a very visual language.
Amazingly enough. Um, so yeah, there are no blind sign language interpreters.
And you are in America right now. That's
Yes, I am.
yeah.
Specifically Minnesota.
Minnesota. And so how is that going with cuts to education and that
Oh.
whole disability scenario and
Uh, so I'm not currently getting disability payments, mostly because my eye doctor was afraid that if I applied for it, I would get cut off from a treatment that might bring my one eye back.
oh, okay.
Unfortunately, all the treatments have failed. It's not coming back. And now we're in this environment and they're threatening to cut my husband off from his disability. I'm not really sure that I can actually, put forth the effort to apply right now. But I kind of have to.
It's almost a security
Also,
risk at this point.
yeah, it is kind of a security risk. Um, I do have a diagnosis of autism, which scares the living crap out of me right now because of what RFK Jr. is doing. Um, most of my students have either ADHD or autistic diagnoses, and it's just like, ah, hell, the life these kids are going into. It's just, um, it scares me. It really does. Um, I run in circles where I'd say a good 25% of the people I know are trans
Yep.
in one version or another. And yeah, that's not a fun one to think about when you're trying to go to sleep.
It's very scary.
It is. Um, and but I also run in circles where there's, at least within our circles, they're safe. So
They have
there's a
some
lot of
support.
they have there's a lot of support. I'm on the programming committee for a science fiction convention, local science fiction convention, and we are very, very, no. The whole convention is like, you stand with our trans peeps, or we are going to identify as a problem. You thought Klingons were bad before.
Yeah.
Just wait till we bring out the Klingon drag queens.
I mean, it's a big. I imagine like doing any kind of event in America right now is like has a lot of security concerns with regards to like between ICE agents and medical things going on and deportations and
Yeah.
what have you.
The convention recently moved from a suburb into the main city of Minneapolis. And when we did that, the community was very clear. In the suburb, we used the suburban police force as our security. They sent they sent plainclothes police officers, off-duty officers to the convention. They were there to be security so that we didn't have to. But when we moved into Minneapolis, that was just after George Floyd. And it's like, yeah, no, we're not bringing them into the convention. We're not. Uniforms
Yeah.
or otherwise, we're not bringing them into the convention.
Yeah.
So it's like the hotel was a little bit leery about that because bringing 6,000 people into their hotel, they would like security there. And so we actually contracted with a pair of private security firms, um, one of which is appropriately named Security.
That's a good name. That's a good name. I'll give him that. That's a good name. I like that.
And they specialize in securing for things like Pride and drag events and that sort of stuff.
Right.
And the other one is called PFLOC, Protection Far Left of Center.
Okay. All right. Clever.
And so yeah, they do a lot more political protection
Activism
stuff.
protection, yeah. So
Activism protection.
I do have a question that's a little bit more on our main topic today is going to be like the education side, but I'm sure we are going to drift around and talk about
Of course we
you
will.
do a lot. You do a lot of things. The education side, how long have you been a tutor?
I was initially tapped as a peer tutor in high school.
Oh, so you've been doing
That
it
was
like
back in the 1980s.
so you've been doing it quite a while. Have you found that there's been a major or any kind of long-term shifts in either the kids that you're teaching or in like the way the system is handling those kids?
Um, Sort of and sort of not. The kids who need help are, and they've always been there. Teachers have never been well trained to handle all the different kinds of learning that go on in their classroom.
Right.
And when you have 30 kids in a classroom, even when you have only 20 or 15 kids in a classroom, you cannot make your lecture understandable to all of them all the time. It's just not possible. So to have, it's like there are some kids who are going to be able to bridge that gap better than others.
Right.
Um, a lot of times I have like short-term clients who my job is to teach them how to bridge the gap for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
like, okay, and I love those. It's not great for my, long-term earning potential, but I kind of don't care.
Right.
My view is always I was really, really lucky.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised in a private school where even before I was diagnosed with autism, I had teachers who recognized that I had differences and worked hard to help me figure it out.
Right.
My third grade teacher, love you, Miss Prenti, uh, sat down with me and went over the real rules because she saw that I wasn't catching on to the social.
Right.
And so every week we sat down on Thursdays at lunch and we talked about, okay, here's how you know that this is what this group is about. Here's how you know, like, okay, when you see the kids running in the hall and they're not getting caught, it's because there weren't any teachers around.
Right.
The rule isn't don't run in the hall. The rule is don't get caught running in the hall.
Right.
Oh, and having her talk me through all of that stuff made it so that I learned from that point on how to figure those things out on my own, and I have to do it consciously
Right. You have to
because
take the time.
the autism in me, it's like, yeah, I don't do it naturally. Everyone else seems to do it like they don't have to think about it; they just know.
Right.
And it's like you ask them, well, how did you know that?
Right.
And it's like, but it made it really great. It's like when I had to go through, it's like, get into high school and English and history and that sort of stuff. And you have to be able to, like, okay, you give the book report. This is what I think the book means. This is why I think the theme is this. And I can, because I had that training back in third grade,
Right.
I was really able to go, okay, this line here and this line here, put them together and you get this theme.
Right.
And being able to pull that out really, like, and then I was able to do that with other kids, like, oh, peer tutoring, you don't understand what the book is saying about this math. Okay, well, let's re-say it in a different way.
Right.
And so it's like, yeah, I was tutoring above my math level. Like, I was only in trigonometry, but I was tutoring kids in calculus.
Right.
Because it's like, it's not about necessarily understanding the math. It's like, okay, well, here's what the teacher said, here's what the book said. Let's figure out where they match, and then figure out where you're missing it, and find those holes. And that's what I do a lot of times, it's like with the students that I work with now, it's, okay, you missed something, let's go find that hole and fill it in. And, and along the way, I'm going to teach you how to do it for yourself. And
That's a major life skill. That's not just something that happens passively. That's going to
no,
help
it's
you
like,
throughout the rest of your studies. That's going to help you in any job you're
it's like,
doing.
I don't get a lot of non-neurodivergent kids in my practice because the neurotypical kids tend to sort of kind of limp along on that on their own, and they don't ask for the help.
Right.
And if nobody's asking, I can't help.
You don't know there's a need. Yeah.
Yeah, like, but I was like, one of the times I was sitting in the special ed office while my deaf student was with his DHH teacher, and DHH teacher, funny, they sign. I don't need to be there for that.
Right.
But I'm just sitting there doing nothing, and I've got these other kids who have other learning disabilities, and they're just like, I don't understand this scene in Shakespeare. Well, did you read it out loud? What? Shakespeare was never meant to be read. It was meant to be heard.
Right.
Okay, so the three kids are sitting there. I'm like going, all right, put your heads down. Hand me the book. It's the Queen Mab scene from Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
And I just read it to them.
Right.
It's like totally cold. It's like I knew it, but
It's been a while.
Memorized it. It's been a while. I'm like, okay, now let's look at the quiz. Keep your heads down. All right, there's 3 questions on the quiz. You answer this question. And he gives me the answer, and I write it verbatim on the board. All right, you answer this question. Write it verbatim on the board. Right? Okay. All right. Copy. All right, you can stick your heads up. Copy those down. Those are your answers. Because they were, in the special ed office, they were allowed to work together on the quiz.
Right.
So we sent them back. They had the best answers. I'm like, I didn't give them the answers. All I did was read the damn thing to them and then ask the question and let them do it all verbally, which is how Shakespeare's supposed to be. And that worked. I had other kids who were like trying to figure out, science in chemistry, covalent bonding, and electron counting. And it's like, okay, in covalent bonds, you count the electrons, and everybody wants to be like a noble gas. Okay, so you get there, and they go, I'm just like neon. I'm just like neon. Well, it turns out during the test, kid's sitting there, and he's very quietly going, and move on to the next one. Teacher comes to me afterwards. He's like, did you work with this kid? Yeah.
He's dancing in his chair.
What's this? Like, oh, I'm just like neon. I'm just like neon. And he's like, what? Well, tell me that covalent bonds aren't about, being like, having enough electrons to be like a noble gas.
Yeah, the goal.
The goal is to get like, and the teacher's like, I never thought about it that way. Like,
divergent thinking, guys. Think outside of the box. We're in school. This is what we're here for.
Yeah.
Sometimes things are just like that. Sometimes kids just gotta be allowed to do what they're allowed to do. I used to be really bad at testing, like written testing, because I'm really good at listening to a question out loud and pulling the information. But if I have to read it, I have to take extra time and reread it in my head in like an extra voice, which I can't hear. Like, I don't hear things, I don't see things in my brain, so I have to do it out loud and like kind of to myself. But if I don't do that, it takes me twice as long. Like, I can't do math in my head because I can't see numbers. So I have to like think through the problem step by step in a way more purposeful way. So it makes for like, everybody's got their different things, and having somebody who's a tutor who's there who can help those kids just learn how to learn. I mean, realistically, in my humble opinion, and you can correct me if you think I'm wrong, why doesn't every class have a teacher's assistant whose job it is to pick out different kids' learning styles and teach that to those kids while the teacher is teaching the subject?
Okay, the blunt and ugly answer is because we don't fund schools well enough.
Money.
Money.
The answer is money.
We already don't pay teachers enough for what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And EAs are worse.
Mm-hmm.
Educational assistants get paid even worse. And there's no real training for EAs. It's like, basically, okay, did you pass the background check? Yeah, fine. Here, you're in a classroom. And it's like, and it's like, really, that kind of position should be as highly educated as the teacher's position.
Yeah.
Just different training. Like, I don't have a clue how to set up a lesson plan.
Right.
I can take the teacher's lesson plan and go, okay, this is the goals for this lesson, and this is like, okay, now I can
reapply it,
adjust it to the student I'm working with.
Right.
But to set up a lesson plan of my own, I have no clue. I wouldn't be able to read the state standards and get a whole lot of, useful information out of it to save my life.
Right.
Not that I couldn't learn if I didn't go back to school, but I don't want to. But it's like, but what I do, I spent a lifetime learning how to break things down into different, into different ways. And, to hear from a kid, okay, where are you? So I can come to you and lead you to where we need you to be.
Right.
Like, when somebody's lost in the wood, you can't just tell them, well, go to this place.
Keep walking.
I already don't know where they are. How are they supposed to figure out where that is?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you have to go find them and lead them to it. And that is something that is sadly lacking in teacher preparation. How to determine um, what, uh, what where a student is and where their holes are and that kind of stuff.
It does seem
And
like a whole nother job. Like one job is
it is
lecturing, the other job is like direct work.
like there's the primary teaching aspect, and then there's the making it fit the student.
Right.
And we expect teachers to be able to do all of that all at once
With 30
with 30
kids.
kids at the same time.
Right. Of course. Because why not? It seems unmanageable when you present it all together.
It really would be. It really would be. Teachers really do need to have at least 2 assistants in the classroom with them at all times. And I would love to have schools so well funded that you can have the students arrive before their parents have to go to work,
mm-hmm.
and have people there to help them with whatever projects they're working on, if they didn't get their homework done, that kind of stuff. Honestly, we shouldn't have homework, but
morning drills would be fine.
Morning drills, it's like just there to help them, get them oriented, that sort of thing. The teacher shows up, does all the teaching, and then there's another set of adults still there until the parents are done with working. And the kids, I don't want them to have any more time, being, force-fed instruction.
Right.
But to have that access to people to help them figure things out. Life lessons, that kind of stuff.
So you're talking like extracurriculars, but not necessarily sports. Like extracurriculars where like, here's a study group, here's this project group that you could join in and participate in. Here's an after school program that's like...
It's like for the youngest students, it's just playtime with their classmates.
Extra recess,
extra playtime with their classmates. For kids who do take longer to get their work done, dedicated help time,
right,
to get it done. And it's like, the extracurriculars that aren't force-fed. Like even drama club is sort of a force-fed kind of thing, because it's like, okay, we have the play that was going on. Like, okay, but what if they just want to learn to do improv?
Yeah, it would be fun to have like a free space where you're not doing a structured class where you do everything. You're just like, hey, listen, here's a piano, go plunk on it. Like, we're not here to teach you piano and music theory. This is a piano, plunk on it. You don't have to do anything. Press button.
Have a glockenspiel. Have there's a lot of things.
Here's some cooking supplies. Make something.
When I was playing substitute stay-at-home mom during COVID, the kids that I had were having an issue with, the sudden loss of school and a big, huge change to everything. And their parents were both considered, essential workers, and so they had to actually go into work. And they had absolutely no trust in the school system, whose plan was, we're going to hope. That's not a plan. That's not a safe plan.
Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers is not a safety plan. And it's like, I'm like, okay. I just looked at one of the kids one time and like going, okay, what do you want to do? And the older one, a boy, is just like, make cookies.
All right.
Okay. And I'm in my friend's house. I'm looking through her kitchen, like, we're gonna have to get mom to pick up supplies. And so I sent mom a text and just said, hey, on your way home, could you stop, grab a bag of chocolate chips and all the ingredients on the recipe on the back. We're gonna make cookies tomorrow. And that started the practical chemistry lessons.
Ah, yes.
which I could pull them out of their online classes for. Now, granted, they were in fourth and second grade. I so
Hey,
their
those
online
are
classes were like
communication skills. That's reading. That's following instruction. That's cooking.
measuring. It's
Cooking is a great teaching tool.
yes. It is wonderful and practical chemistry because cooking is chemistry.
Yep.
It is chemistry. Um, and it's like, so mom brought home all the stuff, and the next day, sure enough, I sent the teachers 2 emails going, at this time, we're not going to be available because we're doing practical chemistry.
Right.
And they made the cookies. They thought it was all good and fun. And then we started looking for more complicated recipes.
Right.
And they had all kinds of fun. They made apple pies. They ended up making pot pies, chicken pot pies for dinner.
Yeah.
And I like all sorts of stuff. And I'm just like, I'm pulling these recipes. I'm like, I've never tried this stuff.
Well, then you get to learn something too.
And so it's like,
I'm wondering if there's something to be said about some of the ideas of programs you're talking about being community programs instead of school programs.
um, in my
Maybe you
ideal,
could use
the
the
school would
school
be
as the
community.
facility.
The school is the facility. How we get there, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But ideally, schools would be so highly overfunded that they are community, and that it's like we don't have all this nonsense about the illegal immigrants getting stuff that they don't deserve. I'm like, they're kids. They deserve an education, and they deserve lunch. Okay.
Yeah, it shouldn't be more complicated than that. I agree.
No. I am so happy that Minnesota is still doing everybody gets lunch
That is, yeah.
at the school.
Who's your governor?
Walls.
Okay, that's who I thought, but I
And
wasn't
Walls.
100% sure. That man is certainly
The
fighting
guy
back.
who
That's
the
for
guy
sure.
who coined the term weird for Republicans. He's the one who started that.
Fucking weird. So so I can kind of see how the way you work in education and the way you do youth advocacy is kind of all balled into one big project.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I mean, part of it is it's not all school based.
Right.
It's like I said, I do programming for a convention. Um, I'm not sure how much I can say about which convention I work with, but
That's totally fine. You don't feel
because
obligated.
the lawyers get kind of persnickety, and I'm not in the marketing department, so. Yeah.
It's
But
not a problem.
one of our big pushes over the last couple of years has been starting youth programming, which is like, parents have kids.
Mm-hmm.
They have to do something with their kids.
Right.
And it's not always, possible for parents to pay for going to a convention and afford a babysitter.
Right.
And sometimes, it's like grandparents aren't always available.
And sometimes the grandparents want to go to conventions. We're at that point.
Sometimes the grandparents are there.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, so the kids are there. We need to give them something to do.
Right.
And, oh, by the way, if we want the kids to grow up into teens who want to be part of the convention, who are then going to grow into young adults who want to be part of the convention, who will then take over for us old farts.
This is capitalism at work right now.
This is succession planning.
Yeah.
So I was like, we started with my one student, my best friend's kid, who needed to do a community service project in fourth grade during COVID.
Oh.
And it's just like,
Good.
okay, well, you're sitting right next to me, and I have to figure out who's going to moderate these panels. So, guess what? You get to help me. We're going to count it as volunteer hours. You get your community service thing in. We're good.
Right.
And it's like, I got my director for the convention to sign off on it. He got full credit as being part of the convention committee and all of that stuff. And then he still wasn't allowed to go to the convention because he was under the age of 12 and we didn't have vaccines yet.
Oh.
And it's just like,
Sometimes that's the hard lesson of sometimes you put a lot of work in and you don't get to play. Life is
And it's just like,
disappointing.
um, what he did
What
get
a
though was
piss off.
he got all the volunteer swag, and I
Oh, there
brought
you
it
go.
to him. But
That's
um,
nice.
um, yeah. So then the next year he got to actually go to start having in person meetings again, and he got vaccinated, so he could go. And our director was a little skeptical about having a 13-year-old in the concom,
Yeah.
and kids got ADHD disorganized type,
Oh boy.
and so it's like the first time we're there, I'm sitting in the meeting, and he's off in the corner doing twirly gigs because he's
It's a
nervous,
meeting.
and it's a meeting, it's like, and but it's like we weren't meeting yet. We are just sitting there waiting for everybody to get there,
Yeah.
and like somebody's like, oh, the childcare room is open. I'm like, yeah. Well, you could take him. Like, he's on Concom. Oh, never mind.
Oh
And he
no.
was like, and then the meeting actually started, and he came and he sat and he was perfect, and he spoke up. Like, I've never heard this kid speak up before. He
Aw.
spoke up to introduce himself as a member of the programming team, and all of this stuff totally floored everybody who was skeptical about it, and
Aw.
just like, oh. And he goes home and he's telling his mom about all these great people that he met and all these wonderful things. And he was like, whoa, like, and his mom's like going, I haven't seen that kid since before second grade.
Yeah. Sometimes they just
What's
need a
he
chance
gonna
in the
do?
right spot. Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
introduced him to his people. That's what I did.
Nerds.
Nerd.
Nerds. Fucking nerds.
He was like, in the science fiction community, especially the
Yeah.
convention community, the incidence of ADHD and autism are way higher than the standard. Um,
Introduced
so
him to
yeah,
his people.
he met his people.
Yeah.
Um, and he was on his first panel that year,
Oh, that's wonderful.
talking about gaming with my husband as his moderator, and it was just so beautiful. And then we started actually having buy-in for kid panels. And
Ah.
when I was out and about in the convention trying to recruit for next year, I got some very, very angry people yelling at me that was the worst possible thing that we could do. No, like I was like, there's a comment down there and I can't read it.
Oh, don't worry about it. It's Icarus shouting about being one of us,
Yes, one of
and
us.
Smitty yelling about dorks, dweebs, and geeks.
Fly that flag high. Anyway, yeah, it's like it's like so we like it didn't turn us off to running the kids programming.
Right.
We just decided like, no, we're gonna have a board member in every one of the kids programs, just sitting in the back.
Yeah.
Because they have the authority to take a badge, and no badge, you gone.
Right.
But yeah, these people who were all pissed at me for recruiting didn't show up.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
Aww.
Oh, so sad.
I'm so sad. So yeah, so we had 3 panels last year. We're gonna have 6 this year.
That's awesome. And, congratulations.
And like there's, and then it's like the kids also are like going, oh, these are the kids panels, but I want to be on this one over here. That's just a general panel. Can I be on that? Yeah. It's not an inappropriate panel, so sure.
Right.
Have at it. And then we just check, we have a list of moderators, like, okay, put the moderator in there that's going to be appropriate for a kid.
Right.
It's going to be able to handle having a kid.
Yeah.
And, but then we have the other one where it's just like, yeah, we want to have the middle grade reading club. So, 8 to 12-year-olds talking about the chapter books that they're reading.
Right.
Because at that level, publishing doesn't distinguish by genre other than it's middle grade.
Yeah, it's like the young adults books.
Like
i.e.
young adults are
Twilight.
starting to like actual separating into genres, and
Yeah.
but it's like yeah, it's like the Magic School Bus.
Oh yeah.
Those books fit into this. The
Scholastic's readers.
the Warrior Cats
Yep.
fit into this, and that sort of stuff. And it's like it's a broad range, but it's all about like how long is it,
Right.
as opposed to what is the subject matter, what is like,
Right.
and it's like
No
you can have
weird.
magical realism and science fiction, all sorts of stuff, all thrown into one book.
And
So
no weird pornographic content.
yeah, well, I mean, and other than Captain Underpants.
We gotta ban those books, man. We gotta ban those books.
I'm sorry, it's like you're worried about pornographic stuff, but one of the favorite kids
Is Captain Underpants.
Captain Underpants.
Freaking Captain Underpants. Well, we do need to go into our Q&A section, but it is good to hear that that there are a lot of things to consider with the current economic strain and political strain that's going on, but it is nice to hear that there is youth programs and there is thriving going on, and there are safer spaces and places where people can get around.
I mean, I feel very lucky to live in Minnesota, honestly, because we have, at least in the southern half of the state, in the Twin Cities area, we are pretty progressive and very community oriented. We just melted ice, like literally. They showed up to do a drug enforcement. I showed up for a drug enforcement on a taco restaurant, and they had to call in the Minneapolis cops to get them out safely.
Good. Feel threatened. Go away.
They hadn't warned the Minneapolis cops that they were coming.
Right.
And it's just like,
we don't want you here.
So the phrase that I've been hearing is that we melted ice. Because, Minnesotans, we know how to deal with ice on the road.
Throw salt at them.
In this case, it was empty garbage cans in front of their vehicles.
Nice. You know what? I approve.
No, the big plastic bins.
Yeah. I approve all of making every ICE agent's life more difficult always, in every capacity. Thank you so much for joining us, Becca. I'm gonna hit the thing so we can roll over into our other section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us. Boop boop boop.